Hey, what's up, everybody? Raju here with another Raju's Rants, and I just got done watching the first two episodes of Maul Shadow Lord. And I'm going to be honest with you. Now, if you've heard any of my videos, I am not a big fan of Lucasfilm Disney. I'm not a fan of this era at all. I think they've had, if this was a season, I say this all the time, if this was a season, it would be a losing season. They've had more losses than they've had more wins. Now, Maul is one of my favorite characters, dating all the way back to the prequel era. I always thought George Lucas made a mistake when he killed him off. I was hoping he would have grown throughout the trilogy. I love Christopher Lee, but I just wasn't a fan of Dooku. You know, he was old, right? And you had to do a lot of CGI. And at the time, the CGI wasn't the best. When you watch the fights, you can tell it's not him. It's not super bad, but Dooku's character to me was always just kind of meh. I wasn't a big fan until, honestly, Tales of the Jedi. But so I always wanted to see Maul. I thought it was a big mistake. I tried to watch Clone Wars, but I started Clone Wars when I was already a teenager, when it first started. And I remember watching the movie and I was like, this is fucking horrible. And I wasn't a big fan of the prequels. I like the prequels. I just don't think they're good movies. Like you have the prequel era fans that grew up with it, who are pretty much like Snyder Bros, pretty much to me, that think the prequels are the greatest things ever, they're the fucking greatest movies of all time. And if you say anything otherwise, you're a heretic when it comes to Star Wars. But for me, the prequels are enjoyable, but they're heavily flawed and aren't the best movies. Great story, but just the execution wasn't there. But Maul was one of my favorite characters. So when I learned that he returned in Clone Wars, I found out later on after, because I wasn't watching it, like I just said, but I ended up watching it later and I found out how he returned. I was like, you cut him in half. There's really no coming back from that. As cool as it was that he came back, I thought it was just a super MacGuffin with, his hatred kept him alive, and the Night Sisters, used black magic to put them back together. I just thought that was super cheesy, super corny, and it was a way of we should have never killed them off in the first place. Let's bring them back. Whatever. You got past that point. Once you get past all that, I feel like Maul is one of the best well-written characters in Star Wars. His character growth from this tool, this weapon, and then it becomes like this psychotic madman, Kenobi, into a very smart, methodical crime lord. And then even, I don't want to say, he's not a Sith, right? He's still a dark side user, and he tries to use Ezra later on as a weapon in Rebels, and he's always trying to do that. He's always looking for that, where he can make a Padawan, or an apprentice, and turn them into a weapon to help him destroy Sidious, because he wants revenge on Sidious, because obviously his brother, Visage Opress, ends up getting killed by Sidious, and Sidious tortures him, and then he finally gets out. I believe this takes place after that, where he does get, after he escapes from the Empire and Sidious, now he is trying to come back and rule the underworld, because he had taken over Mandalore before and he was ruling the underworld, and then he was I guess you could say, betrayed by certain people, which they cover in the first episode, and then now he's trying to get everything back. And I believe this takes place before Solo. When you see him at the end of Solo, he's kind of running everything. So that's probably what this will lead up to. Now, it did get a season 2 already greenlit, and this is 10 episodes. I guess they're doing 2 episodes a week, which is pretty cool, until they get to the 10. So I'm all about that. But I was not really excited for this. I didn't even know it came out. Like I said, I haven't been a big fan of Disney Star Wars, and I mean current Lucasfilm as well. I just haven't been a fan. And so I remember the trailers came out, and I actually did watch the trailers. I wanted to be surprised. I think I watched the first one, and I saw that he had a kid Twi'lek, and I'm really burnt out, because if you look at all the Star Wars projects, that's what they've really been about. You have the well-known character or the adult character, and then you have the cutesy kid sidekick character. Bad Batch did it with Omega. They did it with what's it called? Of course, The Mandalorian. There was another project. Of course, Starfighter has the same thing. You have Ryan Gosling, and he's trying to get the kids somewhere. And then now you have this. Now, this girl is mostly a teenager. Her name is Devon Azawa, I think it is. What's her name? Devon Azara. And I don't think they named her yet in the show, but that's her name. She's a Twilight Jedi, escaped Order 66 with her master, and now, like, they're pretty much living in the streets as bums and shit because you can't be a Jedi or you got to be in hiding. You'll get hunted down. And so Maul ends up finding her, and he's going to try to use her as an apprentice. A lot of people said, oh, maybe she'll turn into Darth Talon, and a lot of people think, well, I think even Dave Filoni confirmed this, that a lot of these ideas come from George Lucas's original sequel ideas, which, man, I wish we could have seen that, besides the Wheels of the Force, which would have been really weird. But a lot of it was supposed to be Maul after the Empire had fallen. There was a power vacuum, and a lot of people, like from the underworld and other rogue Empire groups, were trying to take control of power. Maul being one of them. He was much older at this time. He would have survived the stuff within Rebels when it happened with Obi-Wan. So he would have survived, and he would have had an apprentice, Darth Talon, and they would have had a big chunk of the power in the galaxy after the Empire had fallen. So this kind of takes a play on that. He's going to take her on as an apprentice, and maybe she'll turn into Darth Talon. Who knows? Apparently she does bleed a lightsaber in this. My biggest concern is that if it's going to be paint by the numbers, where she ends up going to the dark side, or at least getting teased with the dark side, and then she's like, no, the light side, it must be a Jedi, and turns on Maul, and of course she'll fuck up Maul somehow, some way, and she'll end up leaving, and then they'll use her later on as yet another female hero. And I'm sorry, I'm hoping that's not what happens. Let bad guys be bad guys. Not everyone has to get redeemed and have this fucking redemption arc. It worked with Vader, leave it alone. You know what I mean? Let villains be villains. And even if they're female, like I talked about this in one of my last videos, how females can never be bad. They always have to have, if they're bad, they always have to be, their evilness has to be justified. It's like, let villains be fucking villains, man. Let her be an evil ass fucking Sith character. That's my biggest fear with this series. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I think it will. But I will say this. The first 2 episodes, I saw that they were getting rave reviews. Now, I don't know if it's for the first 2 episodes or if it's for the series, or at least the first 8, because there are a few people that did get the first 8 episodes already, and they did like rank it on Rotten Tomatoes. I think these 2 episodes were very, very good. I thought they were very well done. I liked them a lot, and the tone, to me, is what really, really sets it apart. The tone, to me, reminds me of the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. And if you've seen the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, they're very, very dark, very serious, and, you know, they get interrupted by moments of levity here and there. That's how this is. You have a character that's like the comedy piece of it. But other than that, it's a very serious tone, and it feels like it has stakes. And I really, really like that. I enjoy that. I think that's excellent, right? You need that. So this isn't really like a kid's cartoon. At least that's how it feels right now. It feels more for that Clone Wars teenage adult crowd that kind of grew up with the more serious episodes of Rebels and Clone Wars. And I'm all for that. And Sam Witwer as Maul, he's phenomenal. Like, he cannot be touched. I love Ray Park in the physical, but when it comes to the personality of Maul, how it's grown, how he has grown as a character, Witwer knows him inside and out, and he does a phenomenal job. Like, everything he does as Maul is just great. I'm hoping his apprentice, or if she becomes his apprentice, I hope it's a good story. I hope it's not the same old bullshit where, like I said earlier, she joins him for a little bit and then turns on him, and then she's more powerful, blah, blah, blah. And they just introduce her to use her at a later date, because I feel like that's what this is. They're just using this as a vehicle to continue the story of Maul, but also introduce her, and it's yet another, you know, strong female character, which isn't bad when done right. But if that's what you're doing it for, then it's just like, it's the same old shit. But I'm hoping she's an actual villain. That's what I hope. I hope she's an actual villain, and I'm hoping they go that route. And we actually see some real stakes, some real consequences, and that she is evil, and that she does turn to the dark side. Because we don't really see that. We always see people turn to the dark side, and then they get redeemed again. It happened with Barriss Offee. Happens with the One Night Sister. In Ahsoka, she doesn't turn good, but she has like those redeeming qualities at the end where she's like honorable. And then it happens with one of the what do they call them? Inquisitors, the female Inquisitor. That she's in the Obi-Wan series, not Reva, but it happens with Reva, and then it happens with the other one that doesn't really speak. Happens with her in the Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire series. So it's been done to death, and they continue to do this over and over again. So if you ever watch those, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I feel like this is going to be that same thing. I hope I'm wrong, and then actually she does turn out to be a really cool villain, and she stays a villain. And I hope they do the same thing with Maul, because Maul is a great villain. He is very creepy at times, because he's strong, and he's merciless, and he's driven. Maul is very driven. And he can be a snake in the grass at times. He is a real POS. And I always love that about his character. But he is also a badass. He knows how to defend himself. So Maul is a very well-rounded character. And I'm very curious to see what they do with him. I like what they've done with him so far. They make him very ominous, very imposing. They did, more hallway scenes. It's like, guys, you've done, I think, 3 or 4 with Maul already. They do 2 just in this episode, in like the first 2 episodes. It's like, we get it. The Vader hallway scene was epic. We all seen the hallway fight scene in Old Boy, which is tremendous. Then Daredevil did it. It's like, we get it. You know what I mean? You did one with Maul at the end of the Clone Wars, which was excellent. Let's not continue to run that well dry. Let's do something different. The art style. I was never a big fan of the art style of Clone Wars or Rebels. I'm sure I can see in comments or people, if they hear this, that are like prequel Snyder bros, that they're going to be like, I can't believe that's the best art style of all time. No, man, I'm never a big fan of that art style. I think there's so many different art styles that are much better. However, this one is like more of an advanced style of that. And where it does look good, I'm just kind of tired of it. I wish they'd do more of like maybe of a Japanese anime style. Not like Resistance, because that was ass, but just something different. But so all these shows look the same to me in a sense. Maybe that's what they're going for. But it's just not my favorite style. That's just a small nitpick. I can get used to it because I've gotten used to it to other things. And then one thing about this style I'm not a fan of, I hate the way the lightsabers look. They look like small needles. And they just, I don't know, it's something about them that I'm just not a fan of the way the lightsabers look. I'm a fan of the OG style where it looks like it's a heavy, not heavy like broadsword, but it looks like a light tube, maybe a little bit thicker. Pause. But, yeah, it just looks different. I'm a fan of that. The soundtrack is already awesome. The Kiner family, they are the best since John Williams. They did the Ahsoka series. They did the Tales series. I believe they did some Rebels. They did the last few Clone Wars episodes. They know how to mix new stuff or create new stuff, new themes, but mix it with the John Williams themes. And man, they hit the nail every single time. They know how to make you feel, give you that Star Wars feel, and also something new. I wish they'd just be in charge of all the projects when it comes to the score, because they're the best at it, in my opinion. Like, I wish they had been on the Obi-Wan score. That score was so forgettable and lackluster. And there's been a bunch others as well. Ludwig, the guy that does The Mandalorian, he's great. However, this guy's, he's been doing Creed and Sinners. I think he just won an Oscar. You probably won't see him back. I'll be surprised if he does come back for Mando 3. But he does a great job as well. But I feel like when it comes to that Star Wars feel, no one's touching the Kiners. And I love the majority of their stuff. And their soundtrack in this already hits hard as soon as it starts. But going back to Maul, he can be very eerie at times. There's a point at the end of episode 1 where he is interrogating kind of this gangster that he's trying to get more information out of. He's about to kill him, and the guy gives him info that he needs, and he's not like interrogating him, like torturing him, but he is pretty much. He has the lightsaber. He's dragging the lightsaber across the wall, getting closer and closer to this guy's head until he's told something that is useful to him, and then he takes him away. But in the cell next to him is the girl who he's kind of been searching for, and he finds out that you can feel that she's a Jedi, and the way he turns to her and looks, and the way they film it, or they draw it to where the door opens up and you just see his shadow kind of over her, and she just kind of cringes back, cowers back. She goes, Maul, and then like the music hits. Oh, that's so good, man. Really, really good. I'm excited for this show. I wasn't, because I haven't been a fan of a lot of the stuff they've done. But I'm a fan of Maul, and I feel like these first 2 episodes really set the tone. I wasn't a fan of Bad Batch. I just thought it was kind of goofy and boring to me, besides like the Crosshair episodes. But this has that really good, serious tone and feel of like those darker episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels and even Bad Batch, to a certain extent. And I'm excited for it. I'm on board. I can't wait to see the next 2 episodes next week. One thing I really enjoy is that it's not like serialized. It's like how it was episodic, like the Mandalorian and old Clone Wars cartoons, where each episode they're doing something different. This follows a story, and they even have Wagner Moura doing one of the roles, and he played Pablo Escobar in the Narcos series, and he is phenomenal. That dude's a great actor. So him doing a voice acting for this, I'm all on board. He's great, and his character seems pretty cool. He's like this police chief, and he's trying to track down and figure out what's going on with the Shadow Syndicate. And Maul's pretty much, he's hell-bent on getting revenge on everybody that did him wrong, and he wants to take control of the whole underworld. So I think that's really cool, man. It's a really cool story, and they're really taking their time developing it. The action's pretty awesome. The way the animation does flow, and it flows real well. It's very smooth, and the features, like the facial features on everybody, their expressions, it is done very well. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this animation style, but it is a very upgraded version of the old Clone Wars, and there are a lot of good things that it does. And those are just small nitpicks for me. Yeah, but the way it moves, really cool. I can't wait to see. We're probably going to get a lightsaber fight, because the Twi'lek, Devin, her master, you can tell he's a Jedi. He ends up using the Force, and I'm pretty sure him and Maul are going to go at it, so that'd be cool. There is a rumor that I know we have Inquisitors in this show, so we'll see some cool lightsaber fights. The one guy that I think is Morak is his name, that's in Ahsoka. He's like Smoke. We'll probably see how he originally dies. Maybe the Night Sisters bring him back that way, whatever. I mean, that's not a big deal to me, but I know it might be to some. But there's a big rumor that we might get a Maul Vader fight. So if that's the case, that'll be fucking awesome. Because we've always wanted to see that, and we've never seen it. It's been like one of those super fights that we never had a chance to see. So I think that would be really cool. And I remember in Rebels, Maul tells, I'm pretty sure he tells, what's his face? God, me with names, fucking horrible. Ezra, that he can't beat him alone. I think so. So maybe they've had an experience to where he tried to fight him before and he couldn't. Or maybe he just knows how badass Vader is. But I am very excited to see where this goes. I highly recommend watching it if you're a Star Wars fan, especially on the animated side. These first 2 episodes are really good, and I can't wait to see. Like I said, it's not rave reviews. If I would give it anything, it'd be like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But it's hitting all the right beats. It's on the right track, and I can't wait to see where the rest of the season goes. So, Maul Shadow Lord, did you watch it? First 2 episodes dropped. What'd you think? I'm excited for it. How are you feeling? Let me know in the comments. Take care.